So there's this word that gets thrown around a lot in the business world, the internet. And, it might sound a little old school, maybe conjuring up images of beige computers from the 90s. But the idea behind it, it's actually more important today than it's ever been. So let's demystify it. Let's really get into what an internet is and why it's the invisible digital backbone for pretty much every big company out there. First things first, to really get why internets even exist, we have to understand the huge problem they were built to solve. It's a challenge that every single organization runs into the second it starts to grow.
I mean, just think about a big company, right? We're talking thousands of employees, maybe spread all over the world. How do you stop it from just turning into chaos? How do you make sure that everybody has the latest company policies, or that the sales team is using the most current data, or that engineers have the right tech manuals? It is a massive, massive coordination problem.
Because without that one central place for information, things just get messy, fast. You know what happens. People start using old logos on presentations. Sales teams are quoting prices from last year, and brand new employees can't even find the HR handbook. It's a recipe for confusion and inefficiency. And this is the core problem. How do you manage all that internal information so the whole ship is sailing in the same direction? So what's the solution? Well, it's actually a pretty elegant one. It involves taking a tool we all use every single day, the internet, and building a completely private, walled-off version of it just for the company. And here's the textbook definition for you. An intranet is basically a company's own private mini-internet. It's built with the exact same technology that powers the websites you and I visit every day, things like TCP/IP, web servers, browsers, but it is completely sealed off from the outside world. Only people with the right permissions can get in. Here's a really simple analogy that makes this whole thing click. Think of the public internet like a massive, sprawling city. Anyone can go there, walk the streets, pop into the public library. An intranet, though, that's like a private corporate headquarters. You can't just waltz in off the street. You need a key card, your username and password, to even get past the front desk.
And that private headquarters isn't just floating around in the cloud. It has a real physical foundation. It's built on top of the company's own internal wiring, what's called a local area network, or LAN. We're talking about the actual physical cables, switches, and routers inside the company's buildings that connect all of its computers into one private system.
Okay, so how does this whole private internet thing actually function? Let's get into the nuts and bolts. It's really a pretty simple three-step setup. First, everything lives on that private company LAN we just talked about. Second, instead of using public web servers out on the internet, the company has its own servers right there, in-house, hosting all the files and applications. And third, and this is the genius part, employees don't need any special software. They just use a normal web browser, the same Chrome or Safari you're using right now, as the one universal key to open this whole private world of company info. So what are they unlocking with that browser? Well, it's all the really practical, mission-critical stuff. Things like publishing the official company policies, giving the sales team up-to-the-minute product information, offering tech support and tutorials, even accessing financial data. It becomes the one-stop shop, the central hub for everything you need to do your job.
Okay, but this whole private headquarters thing brings up a new question, right? What happens when you need to let someone from the outside in for a minute? You can't just hand them a key card to the whole building.
And this is where it gets a little more interesting. See, no company is an island. They work with partners, suppliers, vendors, all kinds of outsiders who need access to some information, but definitely not the whole intranet. So you need a way to open a side door, but you have to do it very, very carefully.
And this brings us to a really helpful way to look at it. There are basically three types of networks. You've got the intranet, which is strictly for employees only, internal stuff. Then when you need to give that limited, secure access to a trusted partner, say a supplier who needs to check your inventory, you create what's called an extranet. And finally, of course, you have the public internet, which is for everybody. It's all about who gets a key and which doors that key can open.
So what about your own employees who aren't physically in the office? This is where the VPN, the virtual private network, comes into play. A VPN is like a secure encrypted tunnel that runs through the public internet, letting a remote employee safely connect directly to the company's private intranet. It's literally the digital version of badging into headquarters, but from your kitchen table. All right, let's pull all these threads together. Let's talk about what an intranet really means for a company today. And this quote just nails it. An intranet isn't just some dusty internal website with old documents. It's the company's central nervous system. It's the digital backbone.
It's where company culture lives, where knowledge is shared, and where people collaborate, especially now when teams are scattered all across the globe.
And that leads us to a final, really fascinating thought. In this world of remote work and global teams, that line between inside and outside the company is getting blurrier all the time. As our offices become less physical and more virtual, a secure central digital space like the intranet becomes more critical than ever. It really makes you wonder, what does internal even mean anymore, and how are these private digital headquarters going to evolve for the future of work?